So, I've arrived in India and I'm now in the car that the hotel sent for me. I booked an airport hotel expecting it to be near the airport because it's not that near, I think. But you know what, it's not too far either. So, my flight was, well, it was pretty something actually. Remarkable in two regards. One is that it was one of the very few flights I've ever been on where people actually talk to you. So there was an English guy who'd been on the tour and he was like on the row in front of me, so I had a little bit of chat back with him. But then there was an Indian guy next to me and he was a guest worker in Saudi. He was a guest worker in Saudi, so he got chatting to me, and then the one behind like chimed in, and he was a guest worker in Kuwait. He had better English, some kind of tech job, and so we were having a chat about like what I've been doing, about their lives, and it was really quite nice. The other way it was remarkable was the views out of the window. So I'm not quite sure the route we took. There was no entertainment or TVs on this one. It was a much smaller plane. But we went over a very, very arid landscape. Now, in my life before, I've only ever been on one flight where literally when you look out of the plane window, you can't see any sign of mankind's like impact on the earth, and that was flying over the Australian outback. But this, I think it was Balochistan, and there was lots of like really arid mountains, and just there was not even a lane or a house down there. It was just mile after mile of wilderness. Then as the sun started to set, we flew over what I think is the River Indus, and the part of Sindh that I travelled through last year when I went to Mohenjo-Daro. And it was really amazing because lights had started coming on, but there were lots of fires burning and smoke billowing off, and I think it was the brickworks that dot that landscape, and they looked really quite something from up on high. And then of course it went dark, but so I didn't really see much until we got to Delhi, and literally Delhi just stretched forever. It is enormous. It is one of those mega cities, and it makes you realise that London is these days but a village compared with some of the places that are out there in the developing world. So yeah, I'm in Delhi. It's not actually as crazy or developing world as I expected. What was nice though is that as I was waiting for this car to come, a family came up to me, and at first I thought they were taxi people pestering because there's a few of them, but no, they just wanted to have a photo taken, and that was quite cool. And I also sat with a guy, and he was another guest worker, and he worked on ships, on cargo ships, sailing from Delhi to, well, not Delhi, from India to Singapore and then to Korea, and then they fly him home. So he was telling me about life on cargo ships, and of course my well, he's not my father-in-law, but the nearest thing I've ever had to a father-in-law, because he married my mother-in-law. He used to work on cargo ships, and it's so different these days, because back in his day you got like a week or so in port where you could have a lot of fun, whereas these days 6-7 hours and you're back out again, and they barely leave the ship, and it sounds quite miserable. But anyway, that's that. I am in India now and heading for my hotel. Greetings, Uncle Travelling Matt here, and welcome to well, I suppose it's my second day in India, and I am sitting in the Terminal 3 at Delhi International Airport. So the plan today is to catch an internal flight and then go to Ranchi. And Ranchi is a city I'd never heard of a few months ago, but it's importantly the place where the cricketer MS Dhoni comes from, and that's where England are playing their test match starting this morning in about an hour or so's time with India. It's the fourth test of the series, and so that's why I'm going to Ranchi. I have a hotel booked, so I'm going to check in there first and then hopefully get to the cricket, probably about lunchtime. So that's that. Not been a brilliant start to the day so far. Firstly, I got hardly any sleep last night. My body clock is completely out. I slept quite a bit on the plane going from Bahrain to India, and then went to the hotel, and when I got there, I more or less pretty quickly went to bed, but just found after an hour or two couldn't sleep. I had an absolutely banging headache. It had been developing all day, and I thought it would go away when I lay down, and it didn't. And it was horrible. It's horrible. I've still got a bit of it now. I got some drugs in the airport to try and solve it a bit. So yeah, so I've had hardly any sleep. Don't feel as tired as I perhaps should do, so that's going to hit me later. But got to the airport. It was really chaotic when I got there, but that was mostly outside. Like there are big queues to get into the airport. But when I was actually in the airport, it wasn't too bad. Although none of the online check-in, printing your boarding pass things worked. Gone through customs, and now I'm in the terminal. And I have to say, it's a really nice airport. India is moving forward in some ways. Now, obviously, you go just beyond the airport, and it's the same slums that I saw 10 years ago and that I saw in Pakistan. But there are signs that this country is moving forward. Not many, but a few. And I'll be interested to see a bit more of that later. Other signs of change, of course, this is the country run by Narendra Modi these days. Now, 10 years ago, I'd never heard of the guy or his party, the BJP. And I remember there was a taxi driver that I had, I think it was in Amritsar, who told me about how that is the choice for educated Indians. If you're an educated person, you will vote BJP. They are the party for going forward. And I looked them up and I thought, my God, I hope not. They sound awful. But in some ways, he may be right, because a lot of Indians, educated or otherwise, seem to vote for him. He's really cemented in power, and he's a bit of a dictator. But yes, my driver straight away last night, very limited English, but he started saying, "What do you think of Modi? He's very good, he's very strong." And I don't think he was impressed by my answer. Might not have understood what I was saying, to be honest. So that's that. So yes, that's about it. My plane is 40 minutes late, but I guess in the big scheme of things that doesn't matter too much. Anyway, this is me, Uncle Travelling Man, from Delhi Airport, where I'm sitting reading a book on Buddha, waiting for the absolute killing fatigue to hit, but enjoying the fact that my headache is slowly drifting away. Keep travelling. You know you've got to the subcontinent when you're in a tuk-tuk. So, absolute disaster of a day today. When I last spoke to you, the plane was meant to be about 40 minutes late. It turned out to be about 3 hours late. It was a double-legged flight. It started from Jaipur, it broke down in Jaipur, and it took them ages to fix it. But it did come. I slept through most of the flight, and now I am here in Ranchi and on my way to the test match. So there, I think last time I heard, there were about 185. So missed loads of action, typical, but should be loads to come. And it's just great. I love this place. I love the sights, sounds, smells, the chaos. It's brilliant. So just a bit of an update at the end of the day. Went to the cricket, had a queue for the tickets, but I got some in the end, went in there, and it was great. Really enjoyed it. Nice stadium. And when I was sat there was a guy next to me, and he started talking to me. His name was Abhishek Sharma. He was with his mate Gopi. I think he was like a schoolmate. Became really good friends. Interesting guy. He's a cricketer. Been over in South Africa doing some training. and he's married to an English girl, and he's going to go over to Lancashire and try and play in the Lancashire League. So good luck to him. Wants to play county later, maybe even national team. So yeah, fantastic. But we watched a brilliant day of cricket. Oh well, the end of a day, and that was good. And now then I got back to the hotel, right, and I don't think there's a great deal in Ranchi. There's a Jagannath temple, which I might check out tomorrow, but that's about it, really, in terms of tourist attractions. But in the hotel, like, the manager was there, and he never had a foreigner before staying. He was, like, over the moon. And so he took me out to eat in his favourite place. And then I had a bit of a tour on the city of the back of his motorbike. He took me to MS Dhoni's house. I mean, MS Dhoni wasn't in. He's got another place in the country, apparently. I think he was there. And then when we were going through the streets, there was this dude on a motorbike carrying a big flag, and he was, like, painted all over in body paint with, like, Sachin Tendulkar, we miss you. And apparently he's some, like, super fan of India. He's well known all through India, and everyone was like wanting selfies with him and stuff like that. So yeah, we rode next to him on the motorbike, and then I got back to the hotel. So pretty good start to India. Keep traveling, Matt. Keep traveling.